Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our From Season 4, Episode 7
hmm
reaction and review. This episode finally circled onto something I've been hoping to see for a while, which is we'd heard about this connection with Fatima and
hmm
Smiley, that the golem was a big part of her trying to protect herself. And I had been wondering, all right, when is this going to come around? It's more than just the golem. There's something there that could be useful. And I think finally at the end of this episode, we get some sort of reveal that could actually change things for the town. And there was just a lot of action and drama kind of combined to go along with it.
Yeah, I really was expecting when she revealed this to Boyd and Kenny that she was connected to Smiley in these ways, and this is why she was building this, that neither of them were like, we need to talk about this, and we're going to need to talk about this a little bit further when you're ready. Because if you're connected to him in some sort of way, maybe this is something that we can use to be able to get out of here or to be able to navigate things better. If he can see you, you can see him.
Yeah, and we know fully in this episode that Fatima knows where Smiley is. She can sort of see inside his head that way. So it's a
hmm
literal manifestation as
Right.
much as a metaphorical one. And it's just like all of a sudden, it feels like Fatima may be key to everything, or at least a part of it. And, we have been talking about this for a while too. We need to just combine our powers, everybody figure out how to go about this, like come up with a real plan. But it's like Fatima's role in that plan is now crystallized, where we can sit here and say, no matter what Boyd or Jade or
hmm
Tabitha or these other people decide to do, like having knowledge of where one of the monsters
Yep.
is so unbelievably important. And that's without even getting into the question of how much more can she really do with it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she can get into his mind. Is that then shared knowledge with all the other monsters that maybe they're all sharing knowledge together and now she knows where all of them are?
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, we know that even if it's just for a second,
hmm
she can manipulate Smiley's emotion.
Yep.
And like that in itself is enough to make me wonder about, okay, then can Smiley's emotion manipulate all these other monsters? Like, is there a chain reaction that we could go into here?
It was really surprising to see him actually have that hesitation for that second. I was like, ooh, this is very powerful.
And with that in mind, because of that hesitation, can he survive? Then that is where we do have to turn into a very big question at the heart of this video. Just get your hard hats on right now. Did the show need to get rid of Kenny? Did they need to have that moment at this point for there to be even more weight going into the rest of this season?
Absolutely. We are going to get into that.
Before we do, though, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are going to
hmm
be here through the rest of From Season 4, sharing all of our thoughts, our theories going into it, and of course, hearing what you guys are saying and speculating about in the comments. Like, this show is all about questions and community, and we are so grateful you are here as a part of ours.
We really appreciate it. And if you want to join more of our community, we have our memberships here on YouTube. And within our memberships, we have more from videos and theories talking about the man in yellow. And it's a great way to help support us here at the channel. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Like, we so very appreciate that.
Okay, Kenny should be dead.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All
I
right.
forgot to put my hard hat on. Kenny should be dead. And
All
I
right.
say that as somebody who really likes Kenny. I've always really liked this character. He's just very genuine. And on a show like this or any movie or anything where it's a lot of horrible things are happening over and over
Yeah.
again, it's really nice to have someone who's just like a genuinely good person trying to do the right thing in that mix. And for me, Kenny's always been that. He's been here since, the beginning
Yep.
as this sort of big-hearted guy who really just wants to help everybody out. And I feel like there needed to be real stakes in this. So we've got this whole plan that's coming together. Boyd tells Sophia. Sophia's obviously told all the monsters, and where it's like, okay, Kenny, you're going to have this exit, everybody's by their doors. Now all of a sudden there's a monster at every door and Kenny has no way out. The monster should have had that win where we had Smiley try to get to him, Fatima still has her moment where we learn what she can do with Smiley. He goes back into the bus, but couldn't get out of it, that he was just completely surrounded. There was no way out. It should have happened. There really needed to be skin in the game with this, where it meant something, so that in the morning when everyone gets together to share this information and people are like, I was at my door, but there was a monster in front of it. Me too, me too, me too. Oh, cool. Okay, there's an actual problem then. There's a mole within our group. Somebody here has told the monsters. There's no way that they would have known.
That does facilitate Sophia's plan, her message from the premiere, even more of turning people against each other. Like, let's just
Killing off Kenny would have totally broken this town apart, especially Boyd. You want to break the town apart, you need to break Boyd and you need to break Donna.
Yeah, and since Donna's physically already broken, it's just like you've created this ecosystem where that can happen. But like, let's go back for a moment, even before the end of this episode, when all this drama, once we kind of get this backstory on Kenny in this episode, that, oh, he was involved in youth sports once upon a time. This felt a lot like the classic, and we even see this in reality television all the time, like with the Traitors. Halfway through an episode of the Traitors, we get this big backstory on somebody. I was like, oh, Traitor's gonna take you out.
Yep.
Yeah, but I thought that's what we were getting with Kenny in this episode. But I legitimately did think he was going to go.
Yes.
And at first, like, my initial reaction is, all right, maybe From didn't want to take Kenny out because they wanted to sort of validate and show that Fatima's powers have meaning. But as you just laid out, you could have done that and also still killed Kenny and still, like, really thrown some significant weight behind this, where you're also kind of accomplishing a few other things at the same time.
Absolutely. You still would have gotten the moment with Fatima and Smiley.
Yeah.
You still would have gotten the information that every door he went to, there was a monster in front of it, because everyone was told, be by your door, be by your window, and there's a monster in front of your door, so you're unable to open those doors, and people were waiting. So there's lots of other witnesses to this that would have been able to tell Boyd the story in the morning, on top of trying to break him apart, because Boyd is getting very close to uncovering all of this, to the point that Sophia's like, okay, I really gotta ramp this up. I gotta make sure monsters are at every door. I gotta bring back Red Shirt Roger, who has gotten an incredible amount of screen time for not existing for so long. It's like incredible here that she's actually getting quite worried about it. And I think that the monsters needed to have a win at this point to try to really start smashing Boyd apart.
Okay, let's put on, I don't want to say this is a tinfoil hat, because it's not full tinfoil hat, but it's just quite possibly a reality here that the producers of From feel like, we are going to give every other character plot armor for a little while. And the reason why is because we took out Jim at the end of last season.
That was last
I know,
season.
but
What are you doing for me lately?
They're
Who are you
clearly-
killing this season?
Like, I'm not saying these people...
Roger?
They don't have the plot armor
Bruh.
yet of Elizabeth Moss in The Handmaid's Tale, where it feels like she managed to magically survive everything. But at the same time, we're at least getting there, where they've got on, I don't know, some shin guards. They've got some elbow pads. It's like they are a little bit too protected, these major characters. And I'm saying this as somebody who, like you said earlier, like, I love Donna, I love Kenny,
Yes,
but, you know,
yes.
as a viewer of a show this twisted, we kind of have to separate our love for the characters with the reality of the situation that they're actually in.
Having back-to-back, a fake out death of a major character is kind of like, okay, you guys needed to really just commit, and somebody had to go, because you just did this to us with Donna, the fake out. She's going to be seemingly okay. We just did the fake out again now with Kenny, that now it just feels like you guys are afraid to let people go. And this has not ever been that type of show. The show kills off big characters all the time, and now you've had back-to-back main characters skate through something. So I feel like, this is my tinfoil hat, they need to kill somebody big by the end of this season. We are going into the final season next year, hopefully it's gonna be back that quickly. just the stakes need to be a lot higher than this. Of course, I want to see everybody get out of this town, but
Yeah.
that's not how this show rolls.
No, and they set
Or
the
does it? Because
well.
Donna's still alive and Kenny's still alive.
I think a part of the problem is because they got rid of Jim, like they set the bar really, really high when it comes to getting rid of major characters. Because like not only was he obviously a series regular, but he was
Yes.
one of the foundational pieces. Like
Yes.
Harold is obviously the star of the show, but
Yes.
you know, Jim, that actor was one of the few other actors I knew going into From. So losing him to me felt like a pretty big surprise. But to then go back to the Fatima part and all of this,
Mhm.
because Kenny survived, it's going to be a little bit easier now for her to go and have this conversation, for Kenny to relay everything that he saw, and for them to kind of get to where I've thought for a while, at least for the past episode and a half, it could be going, is
Mhm.
that eventually we're going to see Boyd and some other people go into the tunnels and the sealed door and all of that, and she can be sort of the eyes and ears where she can pinpoint to them, okay, this is where Smiley is, where even if they don't take the monsters out, because we have learned really that, you know, you can't do the totem thing with the monsters, that just doesn't work. But there are still other ways you can avoid them. Like you just have to be stealthy. And now you have a way to do that. If Kenny was gone, you would probably feel a lot more discouraged, where maybe you're not being as willing to take a risk after you just lost somebody.
I think there's also like I'm kind of wondering why they're not just going into the tunnels at night when all the monsters they're not in there. They're running through the town waiting and looking for people. Like we've seen Victor down there before where they were sleeping and he was able to kind of maneuver
Yeah.
around. So that's a bigger risk, but they all know that they're out there at night. So why not try to find ways to bait them and keep them out of the tunnels and then just sledgehammer through the door. You guys can sledgehammer a perfect frame around this door through rock, and you're like, oh man, this door is locked. We just can't get through. I'm just like, okay, magical seal, a wizard did it. Great. You have a sledgehammer, just break through it. No, we're good. I was like, Jade, you just went on this trip
Yeah.
to find this door. You guys have sledgehammered through the door, and now you're like, I'm good. What is happening, Jade?
Here's the funny thing about all this, because I was of two minds when I was watching this. There was the part of me that's like, oh, this is a good thing. You're not just all barging in here right away without a plan. That's great. But then, yeah, you guys really didn't explain the why you're not barging into the door mechanism, because when you were busting open that tunnel and going through the rock, I don't think you were thinking at that point, oh, but that's okay. There's going to be a door on the other side.
And
We're not-
it'll be sealed.
Yeah.
We can't get through.
I was going fully into this episode thinking that they would at least like put their foot in the tunnels, because once you're willing to sledgehammer a colony house, that you're
Yes.
kind of committing to the bit a little bit, and these characters are getting increasingly desperate, obviously, for very clear reason.
It was shocking that Jade wasn't like smashed through that door, honestly, or Boyd or whoever, like, especially Jade. He is the person who has gone on this entire trip to get to this. Yeah, if they're willing to smash through the wall, they didn't know that that door was sealed or not sealed or whatever's going on. They just smashed through a wall thinking they were just going to break into the tunnels at this point. So, why are they stopping there? It didn't make any sense to me, and I didn't buy it.
Well, let's pivot now to the other big surprise slash not surprise. And this is something you mentioned with Red Shirt Roger being reanimated and going in to Colony House. So, all right, you guys have made the decision. You're not taking out Kenny. Kenny is going to be here. If you're not going to get rid of Kenny, I think you have to get rid of somebody in Colony House at this point. And also, let's just be realistic for a moment. Yeah, these people all have talismans. The place is protected. They're not prepared for the reality of Red Shirt Roger coming into Colony House and actually wreaking havoc from within. Like, there would be people screaming, running away, doing all this. Like, good on Elgin, I guess, for having this big heroic moment, somebody who hasn't always had those. But at the same time, I was very surprised that they were able to get rid of Zombie Roger as quickly as they were without like suffering any losses to go along with it.
It was so fast that if I blinked, it was over. And I was really disappointed with how quickly that all got wrapped up. For as much as Sophia went through and her chanting and her egg and all this to reanimate him, send him into the house, that he was gone like this. This show has done horror in the colony house, like I can't even explain. So scary when we had that guy who was courting that monster, letting her in. That entire sequence that happened way back at the beginning of the show
Yeah.
was some of the scariest, just like spine tingling TV I've ever seen. That whole thing, I have watched that so many times and it scares me every single time. You can't set the bar that high with Colony House and the scares you can do in there, and then just throw in Screaming Roger who runs in and gets taken out in a second. I was like, oh, that's it?
I'm not even.
That's it? We're almost at the
Yeah.
end of this show.
I'm not even saying you had to get rid of a big character at this point. Like, yeah, there's more stakes behind that, but I mean, at the very least, and there's no shade to Patty who's already gone through it, but I'm just sort of like, could you have gotten rid of
Yes.
a character on that level? Like somebody who we kind of sort of know, but isn't going to change the overall story? That I just feel like you would have cemented further this idea of actions have consequences. And I think that's what this whole storyline is going for ultimately, which is Sophia
Mhm.
wanted to show these people because obviously she was there for all the meetings, all the discussions about what to do, the plans that they're planning something. This is the reaction to it. So it's reinforcing this. Oh, you guys are getting closer. I'm going to show you now that the talismans don't work for everything. So I'm going to really instill in you to stop doing all this. I'm like, okay, great. Maybe this will stop them for a little bit, but because
Mhm.
nobody died, like it's very different when you lose somebody, even if it's just a split second that changes that thing one way or another. But if they had actually lost somebody, like they would have been discouraged. Like, I don't know for how much longer, but the fact that they didn't, they're probably going to be more willing to get back up on the horse. And beyond all that, you've made Elgin the hero, which I don't know if this
Mhm.
is a good or bad thing because, Kimono Lady could show back up for Elgin at any point and that could cause another problem.
Yeah, we know that, Sophia has basically shown up again for Sarah for that split second, and then it kind of went nowhere again. And this season feels like a lot of small things that feel like
Mhm.
they could be bigger things. We still have a few episodes left, so I'm hoping some of them will pay off.
Yeah.
But it feels like a lot of small things that could be bigger things that are not paying off or making a lot of sense right now, like the bag of teeth. You've got Ethan, Tabitha, Victor. Victor's like, you know what? I need to find out more about the man in yellow. We got
Yeah.
to figure out what's going on. If this is happening again, we need a clue. Okay. Oh, look, I found an entire bag of teeth. Oh, we don't need to see that, Victor. Let's just, Ethan, we got to get out of here. I'm like,
Yeah.
Tabitha, you are the adult in the room
Yeah.
here. This man just showed you a bag of teeth, a whole bag of teeth that are sitting in this car. And the
Yeah.
problem is that Ethan is there. The problem is not that there's a bag of teeth. You didn't even look at this bag of teeth. You weren't paying any attention to this bag of teeth. You weren't like, oh, wow, a bag of teeth. This is a big clue. Maybe we should look into this bag of teeth. You're just like, I got to usher off my son. And it was just so weird. If somebody's going to show me a bag of teeth, I'm not going to be like, Felix, you need to get out. We got to get out of here. You keep that bag of teeth. Me and Felix are going to go over here. I'm going to be like, okay, Victor, hand me this bag of teeth. Can you take Felix back to Colony House? I need to continue searching this car with this bag of teeth.
Yeah, it's a pretty big clue. And even if you don't understand what the clue means, like you gotta dig into it a little bit more. And I don't think, and this is no shade to Victor, but Victor has gone through too much. Victor's not
Yes.
somebody you can really fully buy into.
Right.
He's gonna be able to do something about this. And I'm not trying to sound mean to Ethan. Like, I mean, not Ethan. I'm not trying. Yeah, Ethan.
Yeah.
I always get Ethan's name confused. I don't know why, guys. But, I'm not trying to sound mean to Ethan here when I say that, oh, he should just take everything that's thrown at him. But at the same time, he saw what happened to Jim earlier this season.
Yes.
I don't think anything in this town is going to get worse than that. So it just feels like at that point, Ethan should just be there because Ethan, he does have, I don't want to say he's clairvoyant, but there's something special about him. Like the Lake of Tears thing hasn't worked out yet. That doesn't mean it's never going to work out. And I just think at this point, you need all hands on deck.
I think here's the thing. I understand why Tabitha, as his mom, is
Yeah.
like, you're too young for a bag of teeth.
Yeah.
You need to be out of here. Cool. I get that. Yes,
Yeah.
he needs to be out of there. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Then you take Victor and tell Victor to take Ethan out of there and you continue searching that car. You need answers. This is where you guys all are right now. You're out there looking for answers. Here's a bag of teeth. Okay, well, that's peculiar. I feel like I need to look at this car more. So now they have a bag of teeth and they've
Yeah.
all left this sort of scene of the crime where maybe there's other information there. I'm getting really confused as to why people are starting things.
Yeah.
Hey, we cracked through this. Here's a door. No.
Well, yeah.
Don't open it. Oh, here's a bag of teeth. Oh, I got to get out of here and leave. This bag of teeth is not that important. I'm feeling very confused by this episode in that way, where I'm just like, you guys are actually being given information and you guys are saying no for no reason.
I think the thing is, it's just they've already opened the cookie jar. Like they've taken a
Yes.
few cookies out. You can't just then be like, I don't want the rest of these cookies. Everybody wants cookies. You just might as well have the rest of the cookies at this point. You can't just leave something and then just think it's like, oh, well, whatever. That doesn't work for what the end goal here is.
Especially for Tabitha, who
Yeah.
is one of the two of Tabitha and Jade, who have been here a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
And they feel that they are sort of the keepers of getting out of this town. They are
Yeah.
the way. Okay, well, if you're the way, then you need to be fully in or fully out.
Yeah.
There are no half measures.
One of the things we always love to talk about with From is character evolution and trying to like piece together
Yeah.
and understand their decisions. And I think with Tabitha, that's where a lot of our frustration is. And as we sort of look at Julie, I think the big character question with her now is, okay, what's going to inspire her to actually go back to the Julie we were seeing a few episodes ago? Because it has been a little bit bizarre to watch this character go from being really gung-ho to I
Yeah.
really am going to go out here, figure this out. Yeah, the bookmark thing didn't work. Yeah, some other bad things have happened. I've nearly died. And now it just seems like she's kind of discouraged about everything. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting here and being like, we know that she gets back into it at some point. Like we don't have a lot of touchstones for the future of From where we actually can predict where things are going. We literally know where things are going with Julie, that eventually she's going to see what happens to Jim. How does that happen? Who makes that happen? I would like to say that it's Randall, but there's no real evidence of that with Randall's story right now.
Yeah, there isn't, but I would like to say that it's Randall as well. I've really liked this friendship and the way that it's grown, and that he has really turned himself around a lot with this friendship. And I feel like she really depends on him as well. And maybe we can get Sarah in there as well. She started to like make a real connection where she's like, "Oh man, I was really gung ho about this, and I felt like I was getting somewhere, but like you, I'm starting to feel like maybe the town is playing tricks on me. Okay, maybe I wasn't getting anywhere." That we need somebody that she really trusts to come in and be like, "I have a clue, let's move forward." So it could actually just be her brother. And he
Mhm.
is somebody who, yeah, he's younger, but he just saw a bag of teeth.
Yes.
Like that, he has information. We had Victor even saying, "Hey, you're going to be the boy that's going to be left alive. My mom came in with a boy and a girl, and I was the only boy. And your mom's come in with a boy and a girl. So, here we go." That Ethan may then hear that and really feel like I am the person that needs to take the torch with this and share as much as he can with Julie.
I really like that idea. And I think the reason why is we go all the way back to the pilot of this show.
Right.
Like one of the whole ideas with the whole Kromenackel story and the puppet and all that other stuff that was going on was that Julie was constantly messing around with her little brother and not really taking anything with him.
Such is life.
Yeah, such is life. But you get older and you start to respect these people who are around you and think,
Yes.
all right, you're not a child anymore. And yeah, I know that Ethan is technically still a child, but
He's been through a lot.
he's been through a lot. There is a maturity there beyond his years that having something where the two come together and she starts to really take him seriously, like that's an emotional payoff that I would really honestly be here for.
Yeah.
So through the upcoming episodes this season, I think that while, yes, they should have killed somebody to really amplify the stakes, I think the big point of interest is going to now be that we, all these people of the town, we had these meetings together to try to
Yes.
figure out how everything worked.
Finally.
Yes, and then all of a sudden, oh, the monsters are all in front of the doors. Here comes Roger back into Colony House. We are getting to what is always one of my favorite things with every show, which is there is a mole. We have to figure out who the mole is. And this is where I will start to shake these people in the town and be like, you always have to be suspicious of the most recent person who arrived, right?
Absolutely. But I'm wondering if they're actually going to be looking at Henry, who has been
Mhm.
acting really erratically for obvious reasons, but
Mhm.
maybe they're going to be like, oh, he's putting on a show because he's trying to hide whatever it is that he's doing. Oh, it's a real big coincidence that Victor's dad just showed
Mhm.
up. Now all of a sudden everything is going to pot, right? So I could see them looking at Henry, and we've been getting these visions of him where he's
Mhm.
in this hospital bed and we see Victor not in the state that he's in, but back in the real world. And I'm kind of like, is he seeing the future, or is this something that he's scared about? And then he's going to die. And then somehow this is going to become part of the From universe, as all the fears happen to be.
I think that very well could be. And I think that right now we're at a spot, fingers crossed, where a lot of these fears, a lot of these things that are being planted are going to start to really come to fruition. These newfound fears that Henry is going through, the perception of him, the idea that everybody in the town always takes out Jade slash Christopher. Now everybody's going to have questions and distrust with him. And then,
Yep.
of course, everything that is going on with Boyd in the visions of Abby
Yeah.
that he has continued to keep to himself, even though Boyd knows in his heart he shouldn't be doing that.
No, I think he knows in his heart that he should be telling Chrissy, but Chrissy is going through a lot with Donna and everything that's happening. She's kind of loosely mentioned that medical supplies are starting to run a little bit lower. And that's why I was kind of wondering if Henry's visions of this hospital bed, and if he ends up dying, then might be a vision of we're going to be losing somebody like Christy, because if they lose their town doctor, they're screwed. It's over.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really bad. And just by the nature of this show, if we all want to hope that people get out, and I think a lot of us do,
Yeah.
it's always going to get worse before it's going to get better. They're not going to end season 4 with characters like dancing around surrounded by tulips. It's going to be, oh, here's another body. What in the world are we going to do?
Yeah, it can't be that the big death this season is Red Shirt Roger. This is, we're amping up towards a final season. We have Sophia in town.
Mhm.
This has to matter. There has to be, for me, a higher body count for this to really matter leaving this season.
And with that, let's turn it over to you guys. Should Kenny have died in this episode? Yes, no, tell us why in the comments. Also,
Yes.
be sure to join our memberships for
Mhm.
more From discussions, including a theory all about the man in yellow. Thank you guys so much. We will see you here next time.